Hey guys, what is going on? Brilliant. So just wrapped up the meditation, feeling great, feeling amazing. And yeah, I wanted to jump on a live now with you guys. I'm going to double check the stream's running. It's always running, but I like to always just double check it. So give me a second. Yep, and it's running, so that's live. Nice, cool. Yeah, so didn't do it live this afternoon. In fact, I actually started realizing I'll probably do it in the evenings. It's better for my performance. I kind of got to put myself forward on that. But you can always shoot me messages on Instagram and I'll get back to you during the day. So yeah, Euro US dollar, great trade there. There was actually a few trades I was looking at today. I'll pull it in. So this was my New York session watch list. And then my London session watch list was over here. Hey, what's up, Sean? I also had NJ. CJ was here, so I'll move it back over after. GU, NJ was not there. GU, and I think that was it. So, oh, and I brought something on watch this morning. Took it off. I'll just put it on there. And it's funny because yesterday I also had this on watch. Okay, sweet. So I'll just put this in here for a second. Right, I had this on watch. So this is what I had on watch today. And so I woke up in the morning, did my forecast and that. And then yesterday I was monitoring this. So I did take a trade, but it was a trade I wanted to take, but I had to stick to my guns because the previous day I told myself that I can't be bringing pairs on watch that I don't have on watch. It's just not sustainable for my long-term growth. So it was just a strong decision I had to make. And I said, no matter how good it looks, and I think today was the test of that. So daily, had a daily rejection up here, which is beautiful. You can see it right there, nice and easy. Filled the gap, came in, rejection. And then just where we had the rejection, exactly what we want to see. We've broken below all of that. We had continuation, and we had enough to manage into this area here. So this was basically the trade I did that I was looking at. And, oh nice, yeah. I was on a UC trade, I took profit. I'm happy to stack the wins. I'm actually up 14% this week. Yeah, I didn't quite get to the 19.3% that I got to last week. It's okay, I'll come back to it. Maybe next week I might be able to beat it, but still happy with the 14% win. I was very close. I was hovering around about 18-ish%, but it did pull back. So then I started getting a bit more aggressive, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the profits for the week. It's Friday. Be happy. Move on. So looking at price action here, you can clearly see what I was looking at. I had to use the 5 minute to get in there granular. Stop protection was pretty decent as well. So I was looking at, you know, this was the big 4 hour. Price was down here. Daily closed. We started consolidating. We then had the 1, 2, 3 in this area, and it was so simple, such a great, beautiful trade. Let me just bring on my tools, and here they are. And what we can see over here, it was really, really nice because I literally had the trade idea here. I set it as a shadow trade, but I didn't actually shadow trade it. I just left the trade on there, and then that would have been the trade. I would have set that, left it, and then let it run, and that optimally ran for around about 4.7. I would have aggressively moved at 3, so I might borderline still be in the trade, but it doesn't really matter. It might tag me out anyway at this point, but that would be potentially a scaling, but this time of day is not really for me, and I would have been out the trade there anyway, so call it around about wherever it is now. I would have been out the trade. I would have just decided, cool, that's done. So that would have been the trade for me, a 3-to-1, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And yeah, so that was the shadow trade that I was tempted to bring on, but I had to stop myself. Regarding the next trade, I was looking at GBP US dollar. So, I mean, I could probably just bring up my forecast. It literally just shows everything I was looking at. I was basically waiting for price to come back into this area here. And then we kind of just sold off here, and I was like, nah, it's probably a bit of a trap, maybe coming into London session up here. And then what happened was we kind of just sold off, and at that point there was a completely different trade because it already cleared this low and was making its way down here. So I was like, yeah, the odds of me playing that now is a completely different structure, so I'm not interested in this trade as much unless it's like comes up here, pushes down, insurance entry and goes. So we had this massive push where I was kind of like, oh, thankfully I wasn't in that trade. I would have taken a break even. And then we came back in, and then it was like in here where I was kind of like, maybe. And then I was like, nah, that's too squeezed. What am I doing? It's not something that I want to take. So I left it alone, and then behold, I started looking at EU at the time. EU was looking very interesting. EU was around about there, around this period here, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I was looking at this little bit of price action, but then I was like, well, what about if this is the sort of base? I'm trying to trading into that, but then there was this obvious little bit down here that I was looking at as well. So I was in between those, so I was kind of like, you know what, I'll leave it and just wait. And then I basically saw price come here, and then price broke, and then started trickling, and then it was around about this period here where I was like, okay, we're probably coming into this low, but the odds are we could even half-ass it and get to like just around about here, which is fair enough. So I was looking at the DXY, and then the DXY was roughly around about there when Euro USD was around about here. So that was the first trade entry that I was looking at for the long, and then it kind of went, and then it came back up, which was great because that was the real true area I was looking at. Because usually when you get these sort of subjective first touch, when you get these areas here, usually they come up and tap the liquidity. I was a bit shocked that we kind of just sold off, but then I was like, okay, if you get insurance entry here, it is what it is. We did come back up and we tapped it. Euro USD behold was here. You can see there was a bit of a gap, so I just mitigated against it. I did go large stop. Obviously, I always like to add a bit extra, 15 pips here. I could have got away with 10. 10 was a bit aggressive, so I thought, you know what, 15, and I played it for what it was. So yeah, it was pretty decent. I think I got out around about. I think I might have got a little bit less than 15. I'm not exactly too sure at this point. I had to check it on my platform, but it was something like that. I know I got out for around about 1.7. Let me just double check. Yeah, 1.7, something like that. And then USD, I was looking at GBP US dollar, nothing there, so that came straight off watch. I removed it straight away. Then I had Aussie yen and CAD yen on watch at the same time during all of this happening, right? And I was looking at CAD yen short from these areas, and then I was also looking at Aussie yen. And it was kind of coming into London session around about here, and I was like, okay, we're stalling in this area. What's the odds that this just pumps back up? Now London session taps into this area, New York session we sell off. I was like, that's going to be a bit of a crazy one, but it could happen. So I was looking at that and I was like, you know what, this has a long shot. Then I looked at CJ. Let me just double check the echo. Give me 1 second. Thanks for mentioning it. Give me 2 seconds. Properties, microphone. Cool. Do we still have an echo? Can we still hear an echo? It's rather annoying when you get an echo. There is an echo here. Oh, maybe if I change this. One second, let me just sort the echo out before we continue. How about now? Now? No, still echo. Maybe I'm a bit too close to the mic. Maybe if I move the mic back. But how about over here? There's still an echo. Alright. That's a bit strange, isn't it? Let me think. What can I do to eliminate this echo? Let me just see. 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 Let me If it's echoing now. That's just fuzzy. Sorry about that. Delay on my phone. So I'm listening to this live. So I'm seeing a couple seconds later. So it's difficult. I need to sort out, but you know. It's a bit of a shame. Sometimes there's echo, sometimes there isn't. What about now? I wonder if that's working. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, my days, that's perfect. Okay, I figured out what the issue is. I figured it out. Lovely. Okay, so I basically had another, because I've got like 5 microphones plugged in all over the place. I had one plugged in. Give me 1 second. Okay, that's lovely. Sweet. Okay, good. We're sorted now. Volume is still down. Okay. Yeah, don't worry. The volume is good. All right, we're sweet. We're good. Is there, if there is an echo, just pop in a message. There's an echo, but I don't think there'll be no more echo in from this day forward. All right, perfect. All right, sweet. So Kajen, as I was saying, with Kajen, I was basically looking at short. I think this still has a lot of room to go short. I think it's going to just probably move short, really, but I didn't want to stick in the trade and mismanage it or whatever. And right now, it's more valuable for me to stack these profits than for me to go for these longer term holds. But obviously, you've got a place up here. You've also got this little hook point here, and we borderline tapped into it with a 1, 2, 3 with an override. We then started pushing back down. Odds are we could sell off from here. So that was the whole trade idea of why I really like this. It was just a bit unfortunate that we had this strong pullback. I was trying to be a bit loose and not too aggressive with it, and I would like to have seen it just kind of just plummet through this and keep pushing. But in this particular scenario, it didn't. If I was going to be loose with it, I would have had my stops up here. I would have had my stops above the retest, and I would have just held that and just let it do its thing and see if it pulls back, test this area, and then sells off. But had to be aggressive with it, and it is what it is. So I originally had my protection like here in these regions, and then I was happy with that. And that's basically it. So that was basically the trade. I got in over here. It didn't really matter where I got in because for me, it would have always been premature. It would have always been premature in the sense of this. The only thing that I did like about my entry, I just put it back up here. Go to the 5 minute. I had this where I had this mini override that I was looking at, and then we had this small hover. What I would have loved to do is probably just get in with roughly around about, call it 10 pips. I would have loved to just 10 pip that. And that's what I would have really and truly done. And I probably would have been aggressive around about here at the low for 5 to 1. But I contemplated it and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go with the additional protection because it could be a much bigger move than I anticipate, and I kind of want to survive it. And I had 2 other trades open as well. Keeping all of that in mind, I didn't want to just, you know, go aggressive on this and then mismanage this, go into some emotional state, mismanage my next trade, and next thing you know, I walk away with nothing, and that's not what I wanted. Next trade I had was Euro USD, same time as USD CAD at this point. USD CAD, I told you about USD, how it shaped up here, gave me the 1, 2, 3, tapped into this section here. I basically wanted to mitigate against if the DXY went higher, would my Euro USD trade be protected? And that was the whole idea of having the larger stop here. So I was just thinking about protection, but at the end of the day, borderline could have got away with it. I didn't want to go too aggressive. And then USD CAD. I as well believe that USD CAD does have a lot of room to it. And I did go with the larger protection to play the bigger move. But one other thing that I was looking at was, okay, so we responded from like this area, which was nothing significant, right? But it's kind of just retesting the back end of that. We responded from here, we pushed up with pretty strong momentum. And then on the 4 hour, we're kind of stalling in this area. Now, the stalling isn't a sign of price moving higher or moving lower. It's just stalling at the high. So then when I went down to the 1 hour and I was looking at it, I was like, this is a little bit interesting because, it's kind of expanded into this area where it's a bit of an incomplete expansion, but it's basically what it's done. So then I kind of thought there's a possibility if this pushes higher, it could just wick out, wash out, and then sell off hard. And that was the reason for the extra protection for me. I really enjoyed this trade though because it was quite an easy one. Again, a situation where I could have probably gone a bit tighter, but I mean, what, 17 pips to the difference of 10 pips where I would have been still in the danger zone for me. I would have ideally liked to have the protection up there, which I did. Probably went a bit too much, but 15 pips would have done so. And then I was able to walk away with a decent amount of profit on this. So again, I think my entry was banging. It was like pretty much like on the tip of that. And my stop loss was somewhere in the region here. I know I got out of the market for 1.7, so yeah, it was probably like that, to be honest. It was something like that. I mean, I never really draw it on correctly when I'm on TradingView because that's secondary for me. It used to be the first thing I look at was market up on TradingView, and then yeah, I think UC is great, man. Look at UC's potential. If I look at the high time frame, you kind of look at it in the squeeze and you kind of just mark it up like, we had the 1, 2, 3 sort of squeezing situation. We came here, we then overrided there. There is a bit of a gap to the retest, not necessary, but then we had the momentum push, the consolidation, and then if this continues selling with the DXY, you're in a phenomenal position, which might just continue plummeting, right? Especially with the US dollar not releasing news right now. I think that's a low-key sign that the DXY is just going to plummet. So they're trying to stall that as much as possible, but when it happens, it's just going to go. People are going to start dumping it, moving money into things like gold. So that's kind of like something that I am looking at as well in how I'm going to be playing a momentum play in that sense, and how I'm going to shift from, being waiting for a more structured period to being in a more aggressive period, and then knowing how to utilize that. So that's something that as well you guys should consider as well. If the market starts to plummet, how would you take advantage of it? I do believe holding this position is great. I think, by the evening swaps time, if the trade is all the way down here somewhere, man, that's a no-brainer. Like this is going like to the downside and you're in a phenomenal position. So take your pick. There's a lot of instruments. I just personally was a bit on the side of it's the end of the week. I'm not looking to hold trades over the weekend. I'm doing another assessment. I just want to be making sure that I'm in the best mindset and growth possible. Take the win, feel good, prep for next week. No attachments to this week. Stack, move on. Even if this ran for like, call it, 7-8% for me, I don't care. Like I can catch a whole bunch of other 3-to-1s and get there in 2 trades. So this trade could be the greatest trade in the world, but at the end of the day, I've got my rules, and the main thing is I stick to them, follow my processes, and I'll be consistent. And that's what I've seen time and time again. So I'm interested to see though, Aussie 200, if this does a quick recovery play before the end of the day. So I would keep an eye on this, right? Really and truly, it's in a very valuable place. If this particular pair just does this, pushes up, creates all these little small flags, just goes, man, you could just milk this run. You could just milk that. And then next thing you know, in a couple hours, it's already up here somewhere. And people are like, what the hell? What's going on? Because look, really, what's happened here? You've come down in the form of this, and you're now here. So doesn't it make sense for people to aggressively buy here? I'm not saying buy it right now. I'm saying wait for a clear message from the market. Will I take advantage of this? Yes, I will. I don't care even if I have to hold it over the weekend. I would love to because of, basically seeing a continuation here is not as reliable anyway. So the chance of this failing is quite high right now anyway. But again, I'm not looking to play with fire. I'm just looking for clear signal from the market. We come here, maybe you get that now, and then it goes, and then that's the opportunity that you're looking for. If that fails, then you're still waiting for the same situation where it does something like that, and it goes, and then it just fails off the back of this, and then you're basically taking advantage of that on a bigger scale next week. Again, I think there's huge potential on a pair like this right now, but we just have to wait and see how that shapes up. I think it's the only thing that I'll be paying attention to. USD CAD, you see how it's bottoming up here? It's creating them bottoms. It's showing that it's holding in this area. That's not what you want to see. You want to see that DXY momentum's in the market and it's pushing away. That sign of it pulling back there is just a bit of horrible price action to me. And I think if you're hoping that this is going to create continuation to continue, I think it's a very difficult scenario to be in, man, because it's basically tapped into the low twice now and it's failed to continue. So it's psychologically showing that this may be a base for it to continue higher. So you've either got to have your stops up here, willing to take a break even on this, right? Or a tiny profit, or you're going to just kind of get through this with a stack, whatever percentage you got there, stack it and move on to the next. It's really optional, man. Or you can hold it. Like I said, it's really up to you. Aussie 200 though, I think this could be a complete gem. And the palladium trade, did I tell you about this one? No, I didn't. So I was looking at this one yesterday, but this one is perfect, man. Honestly, there was nothing that jumped out to me about this. So you had this little area up there, which was quite far away. But look at this, right? You had price taps in there. Look at that 4-hour confirmation candle. Go down to the 1 hour. You basically then cleared it, and then you had continuation, a retest in the back end of the failed continuation. You had this, which was like your pretty much your clue. You had that, and then you could have got involved here. You could have even got involved there. You could have got involved on the 4-hour, which was here. I think it was a bit closer like that. And then within there, you had like a small consolidation here. You even came back and retested it here, and then you failed, and you got the retest there. I mean, again, this isn't your traditional clear setups, but you're playing the psychology of the repeatability of what this instrument is doing. It's creating the continuation, it's coming back, retesting it, giving a confirmation, selling. Creates another continuation, creates a small one inside it just as it breaks. Fine. And then this one has a little bit of a little point here, which we're testing, but it comes back, retests it, fails continuation, creates a small retest below it, sells off, breaks the low, retests the low, and sells off again. And it's just going to continue doing it. So if you understood what I just said, you could probably make money on the run, but you have to also understand as you get further and further into the run, it's going to become less and less reliable. So yeah, so that was just one little piece of interesting data that I really liked about how this developed. There was a bit of a head and shoulders nature to this as well, not in the area where I would look for it, but arguably it was there. Beautiful trade in terms of the just playing it on the 4-hour for what it was. You could even crop that if you really wanted to. The spreads weren't even that bad, I'll be honest with you, when I was looking at it. So yeah, you'd be running about 5% on this. Phenomenal. 5 already. Probably, you're playing that for, I would possibly be holding this. It could be a longer term trade. I don't know how far down it's going to sell, but I would be more aggressive, coming back into those areas there. So coming into that low, I would be happy with a 5-1 right now, and I would walk away with that and then just look for a scaling if I didn't get one already, and I would just be closing for the week there, and I'd be like, yeah, sweet, 5-1, done. Simple, easy trade, money made. So yeah, that was there. France 40, you can see the France 41, same situation, man. I'll be running 3 locked in now. I'm out of that. Isn't that continuation bigger than impulse? Well, it is bigger than impulse, but it doesn't mean that it's not a continuation. It doesn't mean that, I mean, look, let me show you something. You've got this, you've got that, right? You've got a gap over here as well. What else do you want? You've correctively approached it as well. You've then had confirmation one, confirmation two. What else can I say? This is on the 4 hour. If I go to the daily, you know, you can see that you've washed out that area as well on the 4 hour, which is nice. You know, you've taken out all the stops above. What else can I see? If I go into the 1 hour and we see this, yeah, you came in with a 1, 2, 3 into this section as well. And the overall phase was a 1, 2, 3, one push up, corrective running channel, push up again, 1, 2, 3 to final finish it as well. So you had an internal structure right here as well, which finalized it. What else can I tell you? You even had an insurance entry as well on the break. You arguably it wasn't positioned in the best place possible, but you're still just playing the high time frame picture. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, the impulse is bigger than the correction. But if I then zoom out to the weekly, right, because I didn't show you the weekly, but I really assumed you would have known that the weekly was in. Has the weekly done enough? Yes. So the weekly's tapped in here. So as the weekly's pushed away, you're looking for continuation in this area. So then when you go to the daily, is the continuation really bigger than the impulse? And at that point there, it's kind of like, no, not really, because if we're tapping into this and we're going to sell, we're quite early in the run anyway. So it's the first continuation. So it's going to be much more higher probability anyway, even if it's big, it's the first one that it's given us that's structured and has all these elements to it. So the probability of this playing out was much higher. But again, this was the same situation I said yesterday. I didn't have it on my watch. I could have easily brought it on, but I'm not at that stage where I want to just be bringing things on all the time. Like I will do it from time to time, but it's not something I want to build a habit of because, again, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But then it affects the. It's like for example, oh, there was this one as well on gold that we were looking at. It's like you're saying, I'm going to do my Sunday market breakdown. I'm going to do all this preparation on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But then on Monday, I'm just going to do a whole bunch of other things that I want to do. You can see how that can affect you psychologically. So it's like, what's the point of doing all the work on Saturday and Sunday if you're just going to go and disregard it on the day of taking entries? And that was basically how I feel when I'm bringing pairs onto my watch list. So I have to sit down and do a proper full breakdown and really consider it. But I remember I sent this to my friend this morning, and I was like, "Hey, dude, you need to look at France 40." And you know, at the same time, maybe he didn't see what I saw, but this for me was a golden trade, man. This was perfect. It was absolutely stunning. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a 3 to 1, but it's a beautiful trade. Um, let's go run through all these pairs because now we're going into the weekend. I'm doing my weekend preparation. I've just finished my New York session review, so I'm going to clear off my charts now. I'm going to clear them all off, take all of these pairs off. Okay, cool. And what else are we looking at? So yeah, and then let me just clear off. So I do this all the time. I highly recommend it. If you don't do this, you should do this. Basically, object tree over here, and then I'll just delete all of the analysis that I have for the week. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Damn, it always freezes when I do it. I thought this time it wasn't going to freeze, but it did. I'm going to have to reopen the platform. Give me 1 second. You know what? In the meanwhile, while I close this and open another one, I might as well share with you my daily forecast so you can see when I was preparing for it. So if I go, oh what? Why is Notion not appearing? Great, cool. And give me 1 second while I size that up. And I'll just close my trading view. So this is the morning forecast. Now you can see I did have a lot of things on watch. Obviously, you can see I starred the France 40 as well when I was looking at it. This was the entry that I marked up and I was talking about it. It was just basically that. That's what it looked like on here. But again, you can see it had everything that I needed. I was very happy with that trade. So yeah, that would have been a 3-1, or maybe less, maybe more. I'm not sure. In that region. Now, Kajian, first one, you can see exactly what I was looking for. At first, I was waiting for price to create the correction, come back in, or just at least just move up here. And then this is the one that played out, to be honest. So I was personally not really bothered with. I was not really bothered with how perfect it would look. I just understood that the mechanical side of it is it had a middle section. It was subjective because it was squeezing, but we had the area of interest here, but we also had the mini override just below it. I understood that even if I took it here, I could still get protected above and I'll still be in the trade. So if I'm going to go for maximum protection, I don't need to wait for perfection on my entry. I just need the minimum criteria, and that's what I had. So that's why I was able to take that. Obviously, like I said, the 5 minute there was stunning. You just needed to be, what's the word? With the 5 minute, you just had to be a little bit more sharp with it. Aussie US dollar, this is what I was looking for. If Aussie US dollar shaped up as well, that would have been great. They would have kind of powered up together and we would have seen more selling pressure across these yen pairs, but this one just continued trickling lower. So that was a little bit unfortunate. So that was nothing really there. Hold on, let me see what I had next. GBP US dollar. GBP US dollar, as you can see it, I was looking for price to come in here, as I was saying, comes up, taps into this and sells off. You can see from the high time frame what we were really looking at with GU. It was, yeah, we're positioned to go long on the weekly, but on the daily, we've not been responding in the same way that we usually respond. It is a bit of a consolidation here to go long, and I do truly believe the long is more interesting, but I can't deny that that looks like a short continuation on through the low. Like it's broken the low and then started consolidating, and it looks like it's creating a short. So I was like, you know what, if that's going to give me a continuation, I'm taking that short. Because if that sells off aggressively today, then DXY goes long and I'm in a great trade. So that was basically the thought process for me, but I didn't quite get that. Hold on. Yep, I didn't quite get that. I got something else, so that was that. What else do I have? Let me just quickly check. Yeah, you can see this is how the DXY, I was looking for something like this on the DXY. I thought maybe we might stall into next week. So I did want to be a bit cautious with it as well, because we could create some sort of correction into that point, but instead we just rapidly moved there. But you can always see that was the major point of interest. Here's the France 41 I was talking about, as you can see. And then again, you can see there's quite a lot of things on watch. So you have to filter well and you have to do it properly. I did have NU as a thought process as well. I wonder how NU shaped up. I'm going to have a look at that. I'll quickly look at NU in a second. But yeah, I was looking at this for a potential sell, but also equally, I was looking at this for a potential long, where I was like, you know what? The sell looks great from here on the 4 hour. The daily looks interesting, but what if we create continuation and move higher? Isn't that a possibility too? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So that was an area of interest for me. And then that was the DXY at the time as well. So just wanted to put that in there. Euro USD. This is the Euro USD trade. It's basically there. I took the trade. To be fair, I was skipping through my pairs and then I went through the US dollar pairs and I had GU and EU earlier in the morning. I removed EU off, but then I brought it back on for New York session. And then what happened was I noticed that Germany, sorry, it was Germany, the DXY was shaping up, and then I basically just took advantage of it straight away, because I was like, you know what, that's it. And this one actually ended up becoming a loss here, but I ended up catching it when it came back up here, which is the most important thing. And then I was able to take advantage of that with a larger stop. So I made back the profit I lost and a lot more today. Kajian, showed you Kajian, Euro USD, and then the New York session. Yeah, so that was basically the whole thing. You know, US dollar, CAD was here as well. I don't think I showed you UCAD. Basically, I was looking for price to push up, come back down, insurance entry for New York session. I That would be a very valuable play. But then I also understood that, you know what, if the DXY is going to sell off aggressively and it's looking like it could have like a sharp sell off, we could just go because we technically have more than enough in this area right now. If you look at it on the 4 hour, it was basically borderline already, respecting this bit, kind of similar to what I was talking about with CJ. We kind of wicked for it twice. We had a pin bar, and I was like, you know what, this is the cheaper price right now. So I kind of just set an order here, stops above. I think I went a little bit bigger, and then I just basically played that. And that was it really. I was kind of just hoping that New York session comes around and we move. So I kind of got in pre-New York because it was already looking like we had enough. And then fortunately I did get involved pre-New York and I was able to capitalize on these pairs. Obviously 200, I was looking at something like that, but I was like, you know what? This is where everyone's getting stopped out now. So this is why we're waiting. If I pull up the charts now, I took Aussie 200 off watch. Give me 1 second. All right, so let me put Aussie 200 back on watch because I've just taken it off. I've got Aussie 200 right here, and that's it. That's what we're waiting for. This is probably recovery territory for me, man. This is where I'm interested in getting involved on the recovery right now, and the recovery can be momentum filled. So that's something that I will be paying very close attention to. So I'm just going to load that up on my charts. Now, I'm probably only going to take max one position, and I'll take it with a tight but low risk. That's how I'm going to do it, tight but low risk. Let me go to this, Aussie 200. Yeah, so let's wait and see how that shapes up today. If we get anything, it's one of those ones where a lot of people are switching off the week and they're not aware what's really happening in the market right now. Money's shifting. So look at that a bit closer to the time. Let me just size this up so I've got my ideal scenario if I get involved. Yeah, so I'll leave that in the background and we'll wait and see if anything shapes up. So yeah, and that was basically it. So wasn't too much to report on. Let's just wait and see. But I think a recovery from where we are right now would be phenomenal. And then people come back and look at it next week. This is daily. We're up here somewhere. And then it's not looking so bad on the weekly, right? Because the recovery could be quick, it could be sharp, and it could be all the way up here. And then people are just confused, like, how the hell did this recover all of that in the end of the day? I don't think it's going to recover the whole thing, but I think a recovery or pullback is very likely profit taking. Consider all of those little things, especially in this area here. So this whole area is like profit taking right now. And with profit taking, you know, push the price higher. I'm going to go through my watch list next week. So we've cleared off all the charts now. Let's have a little look. We've cleared off all the charts. So which instrument do you perform best at indices or currencies or commodities? Are there big similarities, differences you've noticed from trading them? Okay, great question. I would definitely say that there isn't one instrument that I love the most. The one I've traded the most is the DAX by coincidence, because I used to have a strategy where it was volatility based. It was very simple. It was basically like this. You're in the 1 hour. I was trading support and resistance, if you want to summarize it. We tap into any level really of support and resistance, and then we just wait and see on the 1 hour. Ideally 15-minute and 5-minute was my primary time frame, but the 1 hour works better as the years went on. And then what I would do is I would basically see that we've basically got a point here. This is a whole strategy in itself. I was making good money with it too. And then you can basically just see price is coming to this area as it's moving. You've got this one to be wary of, but then as price breaks, just buy the candle because it's in a volatile time of day. Obviously right now this is 6 o'clock, so it's not ideally the best time of day, but I was working, so I would be trading at all times a day. So I wouldn't even care what time of day it was. And then in here, I'd already be taking the profit. I'd be trading it into that point. And then I'd be like, okay, profit. And then same situation, if it breaks above, like over here, I would basically get involved here on that candle, and then I'll put a stop loss below, maybe here, and then I'd basically just hope it gets to the next point. You see, very loosely said hope there, and then that will just be it, and it will just be me marking on different points, being aggressive at different areas. Probably this one here, I would have got out on that particular one. I mean, I'm teaching you a whole strategy in itself in a couple minutes, which doesn't really help. I would have probably got out here 1.5 to 1. But you've got to be aggressive. You see the 15-minute as well. You can see how the 15-minute broke, failed to, came back, retested it, and then went. It was all about breaking. It was about retests, breakouts, and just momentum. That was literally the whole thing. It was, if price, obviously the strategy I'm trading now is way better, of course, and more sustainable in my eyes, but you can still make money from it. It's like you can wait for example, here's London session, it starts to drop, momentum's in, I'm just waiting for a candle, and then it's like broken this level here, and then I'm basically just putting a sell candle, putting stops above that candle, and then I'm just hoping for the best, and then it just drops off, and then hopefully, usually with the day, it tends to go for the week if it's early in the week, and then I'd be out by the end of the day, so roughly around about here, at that point there, it was roughly around about 6, 7 o'clock, and then I've walked away with this. I'd be really aggressive though. Sometimes I'll do the same thing on the lower time frames. So I would get super confident, and I'll be on the 5-minute, and I'll be like, let me take that 5-minute candle there. It's broken. It's now got nothing to the left here, and the next point is down here. I could take that, and then when it breaks, I just move to break even, and I keep doing that and stacking it. And that's what I was doing. Now that sounds so crazy, but that's how I was making money. It can be emotional. I think it helps now that I understand the bigger picture, and I understand how to read all of this and how to take advantage of it. So that helps a lot. But obviously there was a time in my journey where I didn't know that. So I was just it kind of feels like saying gambling, but I wasn't gambling. I just genuinely was playing momentum. If there was momentum, I would be looking to get involved in the market. If there was no momentum and it was consolidating, it's not my time. And then I would basically just box this off here. And then depending on which way it went, I would wait. And then if it broke to the downside, I would then basically wait for it to potentially retest. Or if we just got momentum, I would get involved somewhere in that candle there. And I would basically manage it into that low there, aggressively at break even at this point, and then just trail it as it continues. Trailing is better on the 1 hour, but sometimes, you can trail here and then price comes here and comes straight back up. So you'd have to be aggressive and get out here. But in terms of trailing, it's great. You can trail after every 1 hour candle. You can work your day job and you can do it. And that's how I made money. I was trading very low risk as well. So it wasn't so bad. I was able to, stack with low risk, a couple £100 a week. I was making like £300 a day sometimes. That was the sort of thing. It was cool. It was fun. Aussie CAD. So I'm going to just analyze this now. I'm almost certain I was trying to clear the charts before. So I'm going to just do it this way. Where, always removed. Okay, yeah, remove all the drawings there. So I'm just going to use this one as I go through them. For the weekly, let's have a look. So Aussie CAD for the weekly, I'm looking at this potentially coming back down here for us to go long. So then I go down to the daily. It's kind of already tapped into that. It already knows what it's doing. So I always had a price action background, to be honest. And I was always comfortable. I learned to be comfortable being very uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So that was a very important factor for me. Let's just quickly double check this before I go. Okay, so daily still there. We're in this area. Ideally, we do want to see more continuation. We want to see more pushing higher. The 15 minute, it could probably push back down and retest, or maybe even break the low one more time. Because think about it, the end of the day is not till all the way down here. But if the recovery is going to begin, it's going to start beginning around about 3 o'clock. So we're going to have to wait and see how that forms. But yeah, this is around about prime time for the recovery. Let's wait and see. So I'll move on to Aussie CAD. I might miss it because I'm doing this breakdown now, but again, I'm not bothered. It's just a trade. Weather in a storm, absolutely. I'm only interested if price does sell off. If price sells off, oh, look at this one. I'm using this now. I've got a shaded one instead of using this. I've changed it over, so I've got two. I've got one which is dark, one that's light. So I'll forecast it like this, which is nice. I think that's really cool. If it comes down here, then I'll look for the retrace and I'll buy it. I'm also aware that if I zoom out, there's basically this whole area down here where it could come back down and retest. So I'm more on the side of wondering if we kind of expand into this right now, and then this develops and it doesn't become what I think it is, and it does that. So that's what I'm curious about. A trade like that would be great next week or the week after. I think it needs a bit of time to develop, but something like this can move quite aggressively because that's your push up. That's your sort of corrective move, which again isn't really what I want to see, because you know what you want to see is push up, push up, push down, you know, kind of gets corrective, comes down. Oh wait, am I drawing this wrong? It will be middle section down, and then wait, I'm almost certain it's, and that's your middle section. No, yeah, yeah, that's my middle section. Yeah, this is my middle section. So it's a bit inverted because that's your middle section there. So right now it's kind of upside down. So yeah, that's really ugly. It's really ugly. Yeah, I was just a bit confused. I was like, why is the middle section like this? But it makes sense. It's not good structure right now. But yeah, so in theory, that's basically what I would look for. It doesn't look like it's anywhere near where I need it to be. I would like to see the weekly kind of come into that area and then give me a nice weekly sort of pin bar or something down there to kind of confirm it. So, you know, it needs time. So I'm not going to put Aussie CAD on watch next week. Is there probably going to be a trade in here? There could be some trades to sell, but or even buy. It's just too subjective because it's a larger correction into a larger correction. So it becomes more of a general complex area of interest. Aussie Swiss. Aussie Swiss. Yeah, man. I don't know about you guys. Let me just turn this light. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big Aussie Swiss fan right now. Can you see that you have it on screenshot? Sorry, man. I read your comment a few minutes late. Oh, a minute late. Rude. Can you see that when you have it on a screenshot? This, yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, I've got dark mode on my stuff. You can see it there. It's very faint. Okay. It's very faint. So I don't think I'm gonna have time to actually go through this because I've actually got some stuff I need to do. I think my alert's gone off. We're ready for Aussie US dollar. It's a risky one. This is super risky. You're super low in it. You're taking the 5 minute down here as well. It's not even shaped up. Why does it look so different? Because I'm on the 1 minute. Wow. Yep. Anyway, you've basically started consolidating here. I would wait a little bit longer. Maybe. Probably going to miss it. If you get that and then it respects it, reduce risk entry, you could take that and just see if that runs. Maybe it doesn't even give you the trade and it moves up here, and then eventually in the evening, around about 5 o'clock, you get something UK. I'm not sure, man. I can't really tell you. Right now, you're contained in here. It's kind of done that. Similar to what we saw with the DXY, where you had this, and then it just kind of pushed a bit higher and tapped into this section here. So if that sells from there, then you saved yourself from a loss. Again, anything outside of this zone is good, because it came down here for a reason, to tap in for liquidity, taking out so many people who were buying this up here through that. Some people were holding it long term or whatever. We're still in that area where stops are being taken out, so you have to be careful. But one of the beautiful things about it is this is an area of interest where it can recover. I think the real recovery happens when you break above this. When you start breaking above this, that's when things get really interesting. So right now, you could still be in the selling momentum, which sucks, because no matter what you try catching here, it can still just do this, right? And then eventually make its way back up. And then in those areas and onwards, you just get very impulsive price action and momentum. So that's the golden sort of clue for momentum to kick in, is when we start invalidating this area. And what would be nice is if this did shape up like this and then failed and then did that, you'd get your clue. So yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to shoot, unfortunately. I'm not gonna have time to get through all these pairs, so I'm not gonna start. I might make a video on the weekend, I'm not sure, but just wanted to kind of share my day with you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys smash this week, man. I hope you guys actually absolutely smash this week. And if you have any questions or anything, please hit me up, let me know, and we can discuss it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.